Pokrovsk front on fire. Is this a turning point in the Russia-Ukraine war?
As you can see, this is an Iskander missile, and it's not just taking out one Patriot system. It's hitting two Patriot launchers in Dnipro. Just look at the massive explosion yesterday. And this isn't over the past 24 hours. It's all happened within the last 12 to 15 hours. Drones, missiles, fiery political statements, all after 3 years of war between Russia and Ukraine. The battles have really escalated in the past day or so. Even though there's talk about peace and peace terms, I honestly don't think there's any chance for peace or a ceasefire with things the way they are now. We need to dig deeper into what's really happening behind the scenes, what's been going on in the final hours on the Russian-Ukrainian front.
First off, there are intense battles going on in the city of Pokrovsk. There's a lot being said from both the Russian and Ukrainian sides, but the general consensus is that the fighting is fierce, extremely fierce. This tells us that Pokrovsk is a very strategic city, heavily fortified by the Ukrainians, and for the Russians, taking control of it is a huge deal. We've been talking about this city for a long time. If it falls, it would be a major defeat for Ukraine. That's why Zelensky came out last night talking about how bad the situation is on the Eastern Front, especially in Pokrovsk and also in Kostiantynivka. These two cities are seeing heavy combat. The head of the Ukrainian Joint Chiefs of Staff confirmed that the battles have been especially intense lately. In just the past few hours, there have been dozens of clashes in Pokrovsk. Now, besides the official military sources, there are also Russian military bloggers reporting on what's happening. We can't say their word is 100% reliable, but they're often surprisingly accurate. They're saying Russian forces have managed to break through frontline defenses in Pokrovsk, and now there's heavy fighting as Ukraine scrambles to send reinforcements from behind to try and save that front. This front is absolutely blazing, and guess what?
It's just as intense as another front we've got, in Sumy. Pay attention here. Yesterday, President Putin was in Sumy. Yes, really. It was his first visit there, which suggests that Russia considers Sumy cleared of Ukrainian forces. But then Zelensky comes out that same night saying the front there is flaring up again and that Ukrainian troops are still engaged there. So how was Putin even there? Some say it's psychological warfare. That he went there despite the area being active just to make a statement. But let's be real. There's no way Putin would risk going to a hot combat zone unless they were sure it was secure. Ukraine is trying to launch breakthroughs, but so far they've had no success. Still, fighting is intense. Where else? In Belgorod, Ukrainian forces are trying to break through there too. And now we're seeing multiple Ukrainian brigade commanders confirming they're attempting incursions in that region. This forms a kind of third triangle with Sumy and Kursk, and all 3 points are active.
Speaking of which, yesterday I told you about that strike. Ukraine admitted it lost 7 soldiers and 9 more were wounded. And I said, the fact that Ukraine is admitting this at all means the situation is probably worse than they're letting on. Come on, Zelensky. I've been watching you for 3 years now. I know your style. When there's a real disaster, you just give us a hint and try to move on. So yeah, they said 7 dead, 9 wounded. But Russia claims they neutralized over 70 Ukrainian soldiers and officers in that same attack. And honestly, I believe that. It was a huge security failure. The missile hit a training ground where Ukrainian troops were gathered. A direct Iskander strike. That's not a small mistake. That's a massive intelligence breach. So let's recap. We've got heavy fighting in Pokrovsk and Kostiantynivka. Russia is making big gains. The 3 border regions, Sumy, Kursk, and Belgorod, are all heating up. Ukraine's trying to push back. And on top of all that, last night, Ukraine launched a massive drone attack. And Russia claims it shot down 105 drones, 35 of which were headed toward Moscow. And someone's going to tell me this war is about to end? No way. It's escalating hard.
And that's just the military side. The political war is also going full force. For example, German Chancellor Scholz is warning that Russia is a threat to peace and security across Europe. And Polish leader Tusk is talking about a suspected breach involving one of Russia's Shadow Fleet vessels. Now, for those who don't know, the Shadow Fleet refers to ships that secretly help Russia get around Western sanctions. Since Russia's official navy can't legally engage in trade, they use other vessels flying different flags to move weapons, grain, fuel, whatever they need, under the radar. And Poland thinks one of these ships might have been spotted. So here's the thing. When it comes to trade, they're saying this ship, look, there's a saying that goes, if someone's looking for a fight, they'll say, Your grandpa stirred up my grandpa's water. That's basically what's happening now. Poland has always had it out for Russia, and today they're saying this ship passed near an undersea cable between Poland and Finland in the Baltic Sea. So they scrambled fighter jets to inspect it, just to check if maybe there were explosives or sabotage equipment on board. Now when you hear stuff like this, remember the Baltic Sea is a major hotspot. There's always tension there. You've got the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Finland. All of them have frequent issues in that region. Just 3 days ago, there was a Russian aircraft flying close to a Latvian one, and things got tense. A Latvian jet was trying to intercept or get close to a Russian ship. Stuff like this keeps happening. Little skirmishes, back and forths.
Now, on the peace talks. So we heard from Marco Rubio, not the US Secretary of State, but a senior US politician. And honestly, this guy's everywhere lately, way more active than his predecessors. He said there's a chance Russia might soon finish drafting a peace proposal, one that lays out the terms for ending the war. Then we heard from Dmitry Peskov, Kremlin spokesperson, who basically said, listen, this whole narrative being pushed by Europe, the West and Ukraine, that we're just playing for time or wasting it, is totally off base. He said, yes, they're working on a proposal, but they're doing it in secret, not to stall, but to keep things from leaking and messing up negotiations. They want to finish the draft properly and without interference. Now, if you're asking me whether peace is possible right now, honestly, it feels like everyone's just waiting for the other side to blink. But in my personal opinion, Zelensky's not going to sign anything. I just don't see it happening. Last thing before I wrap up.
Did you know that Ukraine ranks 105th in global transparency? Yeah, we're talking corruption, bribery, insane bureaucracy. I'm saying this for the people who blindly support Ukraine. Go look it up yourself if you don't believe me. Corruption there is next level. I personally know a Ukrainian guy who not long ago paid $5,000 for a fake medical certificate just to escape to Poland. I saw it with my own eyes. And now there's another massive scandal coming out. Not just about weapons or food supplies for the troops like we've seen before, but about dead soldiers' bodies. Yeah, this is huge. There's something being called the funeral trade scandal. Basically, when Ukrainian soldiers die, the state is supposed to cover the cost of transporting their remains and handling the funeral. Private companies are contracted for this. But here's the scandal. Back in spring 2023, a mayor was caught in a scheme where he gave one of these contracts to a friend. And in return, he took a cut of the profits. Guess how much? Just $370. And this guy is a mayor. A quarter of the profits from burying soldiers. It's disgusting. This story has blown up because it's so deeply corrupt. Profiting off your own fallen soldiers?
When you put all this together, it's clear the war isn't slowing down. It's raging on harder than ever. Thanks a lot for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. At S News, we're committed to bringing you honest, balanced reporting. See you in